Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to an It's Obvious review. We have just seen Captain America Civil War. Jacob Alka, let's jump right in. Let's not play around. Tell me your initial thoughts of this motion picture.
Initial thoughts is it's my favorite Marvel movie ever.
Now, is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
Great. Is that all you have to say for your initial thoughts?
Oh no. It's up there with Avengers as my favorite action movie as well.
Okay.
The fight scenes were fantastic
Yes,
in
they
my
were.
opinion. And Spider-Man was a great addition.
He
if
was.
I do say so myself.
There are my
Got some
animals
barking.
in the backyard.
Let's see. What else? I wasn't totally thrilled with the ending.
Okay.
But we can talk about that in a minute.
Uh-huh.
What are your thoughts?
Well, first, I meant to state, this is a spoiler review, but we're going to start out with non-spoilers, kind of give our just initial
I didn't
thoughts.
spoil
like
anything,
I said.
did I?
No, you did not.
Okay.
So we're going to give our initial thoughts, just our, free-flowing, just what we initially thought of the movie, just going in without spoiling any story stuff.
Correct.
So, and then we'll jump into the spoilers. I will give you guys a warning for those of you that have not seen the film and do not wish for it to be spoiled. So my initial thoughts as well. I had high expectations for this movie, and for me personally, it delivered on all fronts because
I'm glad to hear
obviously the Russo brothers, out of all the Marvel directors, are easily my favorite ever since Captain America Winter Soldier. Obviously, his previous movie in the Captain America installments.
Yeah, he had a big part in this movie.
He did, yeah. It was technically his movie. It was
Yeah.
titled after him. But Winter Soldier I thought was excellent. Just the story.
Winter Soldier,
Yeah.
not Captain
Yeah,
America.
yeah. Makes sense now. The Russo brothers, when I saw Winter Soldier, they're excellent storytellers, and especially the action scenes. I mean, obviously, action is a huge part of these superhero movies. They always nail it on all fronts, and they do a fantastic job of really putting you in the action.
They do.
It just feels like you're there in the middle of the fight, just kind of like dodging all their attacks and everything. It's like, holy crap, look out where you're swinging, like that kind of stuff. So they do a really good job with the action scenes, and the storytelling I've always thought by them has been great. And the fact that they're also going to be directing Infinity War Part 1 and 2, which we'll be talking about in the It's Obvious podcast later this week.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's exciting. And but yeah, they're also going to be homing that project, so I have total faith in them to pull that off, which is exciting. But obviously, as I said, I had high expectations and delivered on all fronts. The story I thought was awesome. I loved it. I haven't read the original Civil War comic series. I know there's like multiple ones in the series.
I'm not a big comic guy. So.
Yeah, I mean, I have comics, but I've mostly read Batman stuff, not so much Marvel stuff. A handful of Spider-Mans here and there, but I haven't read all of the Civil War comic series. And as far as I know from what I've read and what I've seen, it's loosely based on that. And it has a lot of similarities, but at the same time, they kind of told that story in more of a way that supported the cinematic universe that they've been building, which is cool. And I thought in that sense, because I've read the plot of like the Civil War comic series, and in contrast to the cinematic universe, for it supporting the cinematic universe, I think they nailed it, because like all the characters coming together in this epic battle, they all had their motives that I thought made total sense, especially where Captain America stood and where Tony Stark stood. They both had their ideas and what they believed in. Both were equally, in my opinion, they both had great points, and it's kind of hard to choose which side. Personally, I was more on Captain America's front, because I feel like the quote from him that really nailed it for me, that was like, yeah, I'm obviously on Captain America's side. Not that I want any of these heroes to die, but just like in a fun way. I was like, I'm kind of on Captain America's side, because he said, like, governments have an agenda. What if that agenda changes? He's like, what if they send us somewhere we don't want to go? Or what if we need to go somewhere and they won't let us go? I'm like, well, that nails it for me, because that's exactly what I would think. So me personally, I was like, I'm leaning more towards Captain America's side. And I can feel for him in the sense that he's trying to defend his friend the whole movie and save his life and can prevent him from being killed or captured, because he knows who Bucky Barnes really is, and he realizes that this entire time throughout this 70-plus years when he was being, not used the entire time, but when he was captured and used to like kill people and everything.
Manipulated.
Yeah, he was manipulated and used as a puppet. So it was like completely out of his control, and he realizes that, and he wants to prevent his friend from continuing down that dark path and help him out of this situation before he basically gets killed. So I can totally feel for him in that sense, that he really sees Bucky as like a true friend and brother who he wants to defend, and I can totally feel for him in that sense. And at the same time, Tony's like, hey, I've made a lot of mistakes, and I don't want to, and he's tired of like just having that guilt and that darkness kind of residing in him after all of his past mistakes.
Part of the reason why he threw all his, suits away.
Right, because he just felt so responsible for all the aftermath and all the crossfire that happened.
He's definitely responsible for Ultron.
Right.
The second Avengers. So.
Yeah, and a lot of death ensued because of that. So I totally get why he's like, I'm all in. Like, we do need to be controlled. I'm tired of having this blood on my hands, blah, blah, blah. So I thought in that sense, I thought the conflict was awesome. I mean, I won't jump into too much spoilery stuff, but just right from the get-go, the opening action scene was so awesome. I loved it. It's just, I can't remember exactly. It was like, it wasn't Bali. It was, it started with an L. I can't remember exactly where they were. Some like tropical Middle Eastern, some kind of country like that. Anyway, besides the point, it was just cool. It felt very covert at the beginning. I like how they're all doing their own thing. And and then also, obviously, Crossbones shows up, which I think was cool. Kind of, he came back from Winter Soldier after he got all burnt up and everything. And I liked kind of how he's a one-off, because I've always appreciated, I think, a great way to open a superhero movie, kind of like how Dark Knight opens. There's like that action scene in the parking garage, and he just like takes out Scarecrow really quick. Yeah. I've always loved how superhero movies superhero movies open like that. Yeah. And the fact that I use him as a one-off, I thought was cool, because when I initially saw the trailer and the set photos and stuff of Crossbones, I'm like, how's he going to fit in this movie? Because there's already so much going on. But I thought they nailed it. Like, I thought he was really cool, and the heist was awesome. And speaking of the heist, you know how they like have that truck and it blows up and breaks through that barrier at the beginning when they enter that place. That was all real, which I thought was cool, because I looked at the behind the scenes, and that whole truck actually crashed through that thing, which was shot in Atlanta, because I saw some building.
A lot of that movie was shot in Atlanta,
right? And which I thought was awesome. And that was, I mean, there's surprisingly so much more of it was practical than I initially thought. Because that's the thing. I think what the Russo brothers do very well, also, that some directors do this as well, but it's more of a rarity these days, if anything, is that almost a flawless blend of practical and CG throughout the entire thing. Because sometimes you can tell that was fake. Yeah. But most of the time, they do a really good job of blending the two, which I think is really what brings, you know, like this kind of action and craziness to life and makes it believable in a way. I mean, obviously, if all these guys are falling off buildings, and you'd think like their back would shatter after some of the falls and hits they take and everything. But I mean, I'm kind of rambling on, but like I said, the opening action sequence always sets the tone, because Captain America kicks so much ass, like literally kicks it, because he's like kicking guys through walls, and like picks up one guy by a leg and smashes him into a pillar.
Then he bounces his shield off like 3 walls and hits a guy.
So cool.
I love when he uses the shield. Signature Captain.
Right, Jacob, before we get into like story stuff that's really spoilery, and even the big action scene at the airport, which is like obviously the biggest action scene of the movie, we can touch on, but before we get into the spoiler talk, just kind of tell me about what you thought of the action as well.
Without spoiling?
Yes, because there are some spoilers in that fight, for sure. But just overall, like, were you obviously, I'll go ahead and say it, that was easily my favorite fight scene I think I've ever seen in any movie in my life.
Just the airport one.
I mean, all of them were great, but the airport especially that's easily my favorite fight scene I've ever seen in any movie. I will say that. I completely agree. I'll say that until by some miracle some other movie beats that. I'll be impressed if they do. Maybe in Infinity War they will. That was unbelievable. Like, I could turn on that scene and watch it and repeat for days. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there was just so many strengths in this fight scene in particular, because there was like, how many superheroes? Like 10?
Dude, I don't even know. I didn't count, but it's like at least 10. I think there's around 10.
There were so many like qualities you could pick from each person, and then have like different individuals going against each other to create different effects. That's a spoiler. I don't want to say that.
Okay.
This is hard. Just, you know, all the practical effects, the explosions. This is so hard. I want to spoil something so bad.
But we're getting there.
But yeah, the fight was great.
It was.
That fight. I like the fight at the beginning with Skullface.
Right. And that chase scene with Black Panther chasing down Bucky.
Yeah, Bucky,
so awesome.
Captain chasing him. He couldn't keep up, so he had to. That's not really a spoiler. He had to jump in a car. But yeah, that was fun.
It was really cool. But yeah, I think
that was cool. His reveal too, but
it was.
We'll wait.
Yeah. We'll. We kind of. There's only so much we can say without spoiling story points, and even certain characters that we're going to talk about in a way can be a little spoilery. So I got to say, before we go into spoiler talk, if all you're going to listen to is our non-spoiler part, I have to say, if you haven't seen the movie and you like the Marvel Cinematic Universe or just these superheroes in general, definitely go see this movie, because I thought it was just like, I can't think of the proper word, like superior entertainment. It was just, I was insanely entertained the entire time. I had a huge smile on my face for most of it. Like that whole fight scene, dude, my face hurt after, because I was smiling the whole time. Like, it's one thing to see an action scene, you're just like, that's really cool, but to not only think it's really cool, but like laugh and have fun with it the entire time, it's
just, they were.
It's amazing. Like, it blew my mind. Yeah. So that's all we'll say for now is like, we love the movie. That's obvious. Action was great. Story's great. And that's our initial thoughts. So if you haven't seen the movie, 100% go see it.
Yeah, 2 things. If you like Captain America, you're probably going to like this one just as much. And number 2, if you like Avengers, the first Avengers, which I do, it's right up there with Avengers for me as the best superhero movie. So
Totally. Alrighty, Jacob, you want to jump into the spoiler talk?
I am.
Okay,
ready.
ladies and gentlemen, you have been warned. We are officially going into the deep end, the dark end, the spoiler talk. You have been warned. Here we go. Jacob Alka. Let's kind of go over these characters in this movie. I'm going to start with some of the new ones. Black Panther.
He was good.
Yes, I thought it was very cool how they introduced his character. It was perfect because he wasn't really involved in the whole crisis with Bucky and stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, that wasn't a huge issue until the United Nations press conference or whatever, and it gets blown up. And Bucky, spoiler alert, you have been warned, by the way, was framed. But at the time, you're like, holy crap, he just killed that guy.
Yeah.
And when I initially saw that, I'm like, there's no way that's him. It has to be someone else. But still, he's framed for this. And I'm such an idiot. I should have looked this up. Black Panther's real name. What's his name in the movie?
I don't know. His character's name or
the character's name? Actor's name's Chadwick Boseman.
I don't know the character's name.
Yeah, I can't remember the character's name, but he's the king of Wakanda now, which is cool. But his father gets killed in this explosion. He's like, holy crap, my dad's dead because of this guy. Yeah. And I think it's so cool how Scarlett Johansson was talking to him after all this aftermath. She's like, hey, just leave it up to, whatever they said. Whoever owns the government that owns the Avengers now, like, they'll take care of it. They'll find him. And he's like, no. He's like, I'm going to kill him myself. I was like, what a badass. And Jeremy Johns.
Like, yep, that's Black Panther.
Yeah. Jeremy Johns made the funniest point about that. He's like, this is crazy to think this because that's like Barack Obama saying, like, I'm going to go kill him myself.
Yeah.
when he said that in that review, I just died laughing because he like nailed the Obama voice. Yeah. Well, that's a great point. It's like essentially like a leader of a country, the king of a country is like, I'm going to kill this guy myself. I don't care what the government says. And
it'd be crazy to think if a superhero was actually a president or something.
Oh, I know. It'd be pretty wild.
Insane.
Yeah. But well, I guess we'll kind of stick with Black Panther for a bit. What do you think of the scene where Captain America finds Bucky's apartment and then all hell breaks loose and like the staircase and like the big chase happens?
That was great. Bucky can jump and he can land without getting hurt.
He kicks a lot of ass too with that metal arm, man.
Oh, he does.
I thought it was so cool. He's getting shot in the arm and stuff, and it's like obviously he isn't flinching because I think it's cool. It's like almost like a shield in a way because he's like I remember that one scene where he's running at the guy with his hand and it's like shooting his hand.
It's like, why don't you shoot somewhere else, guy?
Yeah, I was like,
come on,
man, that's cool. And he's like slamming guys on the walls with his arm and throwing them down the stairs, and Captain America's like grabbing guys from falling.
Like, damn it, Bucky!
Yeah, he's like, come on, man. That fight scene, it's funny because this is the second awesome staircase fight scene I've seen from Marvel, because if you've seen Daredevil season 2, right?
Yeah.
That's an amazing fight scene from season 2, episode 2 with the biker gang. He takes on the entire gang with the chain.
Jeez.
Dude, it's so awesome. But this fight scene was right up there with it, dude, because I think just seeing Captain America and Bucky fight back to back was a really cool dynamic. And the fact that they were buddies in World War II, and now they're back in this future world, like fighting together.
They're like 100 years old, but they don't look it.
So cool. And I thought that the reveal of Black Panther was so cool. And one of my favorite, obviously, there's a lot of cool things to like about Black Panther. One, let's address the elephant in the room. One of the coolest looking costumes I've ever seen, dude.
Yeah.
I'm saying dude a lot, sorry.
Nails.
This brings out the kid in me. Oh, yeah, his
claws.
What's the proper term for the metal? Adamantium? Is that what it is?
I don't know.
I forgot what the metal's called. It's something like that.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, in the Marvel, not necessarily the cinematic universe, because X-Men is owned by Fox and all that, but technically in the Marvel world, that's the same metal that's made up of Captain America's shield, Wolverine's claws, and now Black Panther's suit is made of that as well.
I did not know that.
And I loved how the claws retracted and came out, and his mask was like a helmet, and he was very stealthy too. I like how you could just barely hear him pitter-pattering around and everything. Yeah. And just his like African accent was so cool and fitting, because when he would like have the mask on, he'd be like, I'm coming for you, Bucky, or I'm coming for you, Captain America. I'm like, that guy is so awesome.
I can't wait for his movie.
I know. And his claws just like slashing at Captain America's shield and stuff just looks so cool.
Yeah. It left its mark.
Yeah. And his reveal was just perfect, how he just chased him down and just jumping from car to car and stuff. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for his solo movie as well. He's a very talented actor as well. I can't remember what he was in before this, but he's very good.
I know I've seen him before. I just can't put a movie to it.
But he nailed it. That character is very interesting to me. I thought his action scenes were incredible, and I love how he's like really stealthy. I'm sure they'll play on that in this full movie.
What'd you think about the extra credit scene?
With him?
Yeah.
I thought that was cool, how he kind of is hiding him out where I guess Black Panther's hideout essentially is. I assume that's in Wakanda, since he's the king of Wakanda now.
Right.
But I thought it was interesting how Bucky, I know we're jumping ahead, but how Bucky's like, oh, I got to go under. It's probably the safest thing till they figure out how to get this thing out of me. So he goes under, and Captain America's like, what if they find him? He's like, let them try or something. And it zooms out, and it's like this beautiful rainforest with waterfalls and the giant panther statue.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Isn't it ironic that Black Panther's keeping Bucky after he was like trying to kill him the whole movie?
That is hilarious. Yeah, he was out for vengeance, man, and then obviously that all gets cleared up.
Yeah.
Who else was new other than Spider-Man? I don't know if there's anyone else that was new. I mean, Crossbones was the villain at the beginning. Even though he was kind of a one-off, he was cool. He was very menacing looking for sure, and I thought his fight scene with Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, was cool.
There was no one else new.
No.
Besides Spider-Man.
Right. And but yeah, Black Panther was really cool. Crossbones is cool. Zemo, I think his name's Zemo, the main villain of the movie.
Yeah.
What'd you think about him?
I liked his role, I guess. It's a different role that we're used to seeing in these superhero movies with the villain. His role is just to manipulate the minds of the heroes, basically, and he accomplished that.
I think I liked this villain a lot because of the sense that he is just a man in this movie. And if I'm not mistaken, every other Marvel movie, with the exception of the Iron Man movies, have been like fantastical, like not necessarily superpower, but just like powerful enough villains that are strong enough to kind of take on these heroes. Yeah. And this guy clearly is just a guy whose family was kind of slaughtered in the aftermath of the Avengers Age of Ultron battle in whatever city that was where they dropped the city. And I thought it was just really cool how he was manipulating these heroes, because I like how at the beginning you're kind of like uncertain of what this guy's motive is and what he's after, but it turns out he's just trying to turn all these heroes against each other, because like he knows like he can't kill them himself, so the only way to destroy them is have them destroy themselves. Yeah. And I thought the fact that he was a master manipulator, even though that has been done in many stories and many movies before, I thought they just did it in a really cool way. And I liked how, not that I'm like, oh, it's cool that his family died, but I thought that was a great motive. He's like, these heroes are responsible for my family's death. It wasn't even Ultron that killed him. It was the Avengers' fault. Yeah. Which I think was cool.
I was surprised at the end. I thought for sure that he was going to, turn the Winter Soldiers on, the rest of them.
Right.
Because Bucky wasn't the only one that we learned in this movie.
Right.
But I thought, when I saw them all dead, I thought, oh, maybe he's extracted all their power. Maybe he's going to be this ultimate Winter Soldier. Yeah. But none of that happened. I was surprised. Yeah. It was a good surprise, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I kind of like that, though, because it would have been, like, I think a little too obvious.
Yeah, it would have been too...
Like, all right, let's fight all the super soldiers now.
That's what I was expecting, just because they always do something like that.
Right. So I'm kind of glad they did that. It was kind of a shocking surprise when they're all have been shot in the head, and he's like, you think I want more of you? He's like, no. And jumping back to the beginning of the movie, I know we got to apologize. We're jumping all over the place, but we're really just excited about the movie, and we love it. We're kind of just jumping from our favorite parts and everything. But at the beginning of the movie, obviously, we see Bucky Barnes go after... his name's Bucky Barnes, right? Is it Barnes? Or is it something else? Because I know there's a Bucky Barnes in something.
I think it is.
Okay, I'm so sorry if it's not. But
you
Bucky.
Got a phone right there.
Just in case, I'll call him Bucky for now. But at the beginning of the movie, when he's speeding after that car on December 6th, 1991, did you already realize that was Stark's parents in the car? Okay, the only reason I did is because when he opens the trunk and that blue serum is in there, if I'm not mistaken, that's the serum that was injected into Captain America to make him Captain America, or it's some other serum. Maybe it was the Winter Soldier serum. I don't think it was.
I didn't remember that.
I'm pretty sure, because Stark is the guy who kind of made up that stuff to make Captain America.
Who was the Stark in the first Captain America? Was that his grandfather?
That was that was Tony Stark's father. He just was that was like the younger version of him. Okay. It's confusing because there's been 3 guys to play Howard Stark. Right. In Iron Man 2, it was a different guy. Mm-hmm. And Captain America, it was the younger guy. And then I think more recently in Ant-Man and maybe even Iron Man 3, I can't remember, but Ant-Man and this movie, it was the guy with the white hair. Okay. Which I think that can easily confuse like casual moviegoers that don't like really keep up with the story, because that can throw people off, I think, because there's been 3 different actors that have played him. But I had the feeling that might be Stark's parents. I don't even know why. It's just something in me felt like it was, because I think at some point in one of the Iron Man movies he mentioned, oh, my parents were killed in a car accident. I think he might have mentioned that, and the fact that the car crashes and the serum was in the back, I'm like, that's probably Iron Man's dad or mom or someone. Turns out that was the case. Yeah. And at the end, obviously when that reveal is that Zemo, his ultimate goal and his motive the whole movie was to find out what happened on that specific night, because he knows something went down. He's like, the whole movie is trying to get that information out of people. Finally gets it out of Bucky and finds the tape, like the street recording of the crash and Bucky killing Iron Man's parents, which I thought was so brutal, especially when he takes Iron Man's dad and punches him in the head like 3 times. I was like, holy crap, that is brutal.
It is.
And then he chokes out his mom, and Iron Man, this is what I loved about Iron Man, we can kind of jump to Iron Man now, is like I've heard other people say this in reviews, I'm not going to pretend like I'm the first one to say this, but people have made great points in saying that since Iron Man 1, throughout all the Marvel movies, he's kind of just been like the one-liner guy, like he says the funny lines. He's the real charming, fun character, and which is fine. That's why
I like him.
Yeah, Tony Stark's always been super entertaining.
He's my favorite Marvel superhero.
Yeah, I mean, he nails it. Robert Downey Jr. is not only a fantastic actor, but he nails the part of Tony Stark. Yeah. And in this movie, they really dug deep into his emotions and like his guilt and everything, which I think is really cool. And that's just shows his skills as an actor, because normally he's usually the charming, fun guy. In this movie, he's like really conflicted in a lot of things. And obviously there's still the fun side of him's there as well, especially when he goes to meet Spider-Man, which we'll get to. Yeah. But when especially that reveal when he sees this tape start and he's like, I know where this is. He's like, what is this? And he's like freaking out and he's like, what in the world? And then it was just, you could feel the tension. Like, it was just phenomenally, the way it was shot and the way it was acted was just superb. And you can just feel like his anger rising and like the situation getting really out of hand really fast. And just to imagine, I can't even imagine seeing someone kill my parents and then be standing right next to that person. Like, holy crap. And that made that fight amazing to me. Yeah. Not only the action wasn't incredible, but just like the tension was through the roof.
I couldn't tell who was going to win like the whole time. Like, I thought, Iron Man's definitely going to beat him, but then, Captain America comes back and he beats the crap out of Iron Man. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen.
Right. Dude, fight aside, I mean, I'll get to the part that I think was the coolest part of that scene for sure, but the fact of them fighting, and I think easily one of the coolest shots in the movie, it's in the trailer where Iron Man's on his knees and Bucky and Captain America are just like punching the crap out of him and like tossing his shield back and forth and hitting him. Like, how freaking cool. That was such a
great scene.
It was. It's like, man, that's cool. And obviously it gets to the point where Bucky's trying to rip his arc reactor out and he shoots and it blows off his arm. I was like, holy crap. Yeah. My goodness, that was intense. And
that might have been the best fight scene out of the whole movie.
You like that one?
Even more than Spider-Man's.
You like it more than Spider-Man's?
Yeah.
I think the emotional level I like, obviously.
Emotionally, Spider-Man was really good to see. Like, that was close.
Yeah, I think the airport scene was meant to be like the big fun one, and then there's like the serious emotional in the end. And in that sense, I get what you mean, like, because the stakes were so high, the emotion was high, and then when it turns into one-on-one with Iron Man, like, I think he legitimately, obviously wanted to kill Bucky, and he was getting to the point where he was probably going to kill Captain America, or at least beat him senseless. And I thought their hand-to-hand fight was cool, where Iron Man was like, analyze his fight pattern, and then she figures it out. He's like, all right, let's kick his ass. Yeah. It's like he just completely fights back against him. And it was brutal, too, when Iron Man or Captain America finally gets him down, and he's like smashing him with his shield. Yeah. And you think he's going to smash his face in, and he just smashes his arc reactor.
I thought for sure he was going to, like, stop his heartbeat or something.
Oh, no, I was kind of scared for a second. I was like on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
But I think the most, obviously before that happened, the iconic shot from the comic is when Iron Man has his shield up and Captain America's trying to use both his hands to blow through it. And they have that iconic scene in slow motion. It was so cool. Mm-hmm. And just the way it was shot, too, was so unique and a fresh take on it.
The energy on the shield, like.
Yeah, and it was like kind of through those two snowy pillars. It was awesome. And I loved how they included the iconic shot. And then just the end of that fight was, I know it's like, it's funny that we're being like, oh, so emotional. It was so crazy when this is a movie about superheroes called like Ant-Man and Spider-Man and Iron Man. We
got to talk about Ant-Man.
Yeah. I mean, it's silly, but that's what's cool is that they've taken really fun, silly concepts and turned them into like dramatic stories. And I think the saddest thing I've seen to date in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is when the fight's over and Captain America picks up Bucky to kind of get out of there, and Iron Man's just like sitting there. He's like, you don't deserve that shield. He's like, my father made that shield, and he just like drops it on the ground. And the last shot you just see kind of panning out is Iron Man just sitting there and like his broken mask on the ground, Iron Man's shield left behind. It's like, think about all of this time they've spent together building up this universe and becoming a team, becoming essentially like a brotherhood, and all that is just broken in front of him. He's just like left there. It's like, what have we become? And it's like so sad.
Yeah, I want to get into this at the end, but like what happens now? Like their team is essentially just torn apart.
Yeah.
So, it has been before, but they've repaired it. So I don't know how they're going to do it this time.
Yeah,
because they're gonna have to with Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet.
I think that ultimately is, even though this movie not only it ends on an emotional state, but also in a playful way. Because at the end, Iron Man gets the message from Captain America that says like, "Hey, I know we've had our differences. This really sucks that this happened." Blah blah blah. I can't remember exactly what he says, but like the Avengers are still mine, and like. Well, he's kind of like reading this message, and it kind of shows shots of Captain America like kind of freeing the Avengers from the prison, which I think is cool because he's just like not a part of the law anymore. I guess he has his own agenda, which is cool. And he's like, everything's gonna be cool. Like, hopefully we can get back to how we once were. And Iron Man kind of seemed fun about it. At the end.
I don't like how this is what I was talking about with the ending that I didn't like. I didn't like how calm he was about the whole situation.
Iron Man,
yeah. Just felt like he took it too easily.
Like
he was accepting it. I didn't like that. I just feel like he should still be more upset. That's just me, though.
Yeah. Maybe it's just Tony Stark doing his thing, pretending like everything's fine when it's not. I mean, I guess one could pretend that was the case.
Yeah. I liked how he went back and he's helping
Rhodey.
Yeah, walk again. So
yeah, that
was cool to see.
Yeah, it was. It was cool. I
thought for sure. Sorry, that he was gonna. I thought for sure that he was dead.
I was gonna be
even from the trailer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like super attached to War Machine by any means, but he's been in all these movies. You still feel for the characters because they've been around for a while.
Yeah, because like that was when like it wasn't fun in games anymore. It was when
shit just got real.
When Vision shot down that guy. I mean, it was like, well, yeah, now it's serious.
Yeah, yeah. And but I thought it ended in a cool way. How Captain America's smile and gets the Avengers out of prison, and Iron Man's just kind of like, I don't know what to do about this. But it's cool because by the time we get to Infinity War, I mean, in between that we have Doctor Strange, we have Black Panther's movie. I think we have another Ant-Man movie, and then I think it's Infinity War.
Yeah, and we have Spider-Man movie.
Yes, that's right. Spider-Man's next year.
Which Iron Man will be in.
Yes. So I think in between all that, obviously, either something will happen in between there, or Infinity War Part 1 is going to be the start of all this craziness, and they realize, like, we have to drop our differences. We have to come together and save the entire world. Essentially the universe, because Thanos is like this all-powerful being with the Infinity Gauntlet.
Right. This is a little off topic, but like I'm so worried for Vision because he's dead.
Yeah, his head's gonna get ripped off or something.
He has a crystal. I mean,
yeah, either that, or they'll do some crazy take on it where like if his stone gets ripped out, he becomes like a normal man or something, or it's like he doesn't have superpowers.
He was talking about how he was trying to control the crystal. Maybe if he can just. Yeah, like you were saying, become his own man without the help of the crystal. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I don't know how he is in comics. So
yeah, me neither. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure. Jacob, let's talk about Spidey,
please.
Everyone has said this, so we're just adding fuel to the fire. But Tom Holland killed it, in my opinion. I thought he was awesome. I love the fact that he sounds like a kid. I know some people don't like that, but I've always liked the Spidey who's just like the young kid who's just trying to make a difference, which I think is awesome.
I didn't like it, and I didn't hate it. It was just okay.
You thought Tom Holland was just okay?
Yeah.
Oh, the voice. Yeah, see, I thought the voice was awesome. I've been waiting to hear a Spider-Man that just sounds like a kid, like right out of high school.
Yeah.
And I thought his introduction was great, how he shows up and Tony Stark's just like kicking it with his aunt May, just eating crumpets and stuff. And he's just like, yeah, you signed up for my thing. And Tom Holland, or Peter Parker's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I need to talk to your nephew for a little bit. And they go in there. I thought it was awesome. And they just played it perfectly because they didn't have to make it too complicated or just like explain everything. Like, oh, my uncle died and then I got superpowers. Just kind of like, it's kind of just not really... it's not really on the forefront. They're just kind of having casual conversation, and obviously Iron Man finds his makeshift suit in like 5 seconds in the ceiling, which I thought was cool. He had those big goggles, and because I've always loved the idea of Spider-Man. Before he get like the whole city knows who he is, I always liked the idea of Spider-Man just being kind of known and like having like a silly costume and just trying to figure things out, which I like because it feels more like this high school kid that's just like, I have these powers, I got to do something with them, and he just throws this crappy costume together. And I thought it was cool how they explained the eyes. I don't think they've ever done this in any other Spider-Man movie. He's like, why do you wear these stupid goggles? Yeah. It's like, oh, well, when I got these powers, my senses were like out of control, and these just help me focus when I'm out there. Which I thought was awesome, which makes total sense why his eyes change shape and everything. Yeah. But I thought that was great, and I thought it was cool how they're having that playful banter. He's like, I need you to come help me in like Germany or whatever. And he's like, I have homework. He's like, don't worry about it. And he's like, you're just going to come with me. And before he leaves the door, he like Webb shoots his hand. I was like, that's amazing.
It's like, please release me.
Yeah. He's like, all right, let me out of here now. But that was great. And I guess we can jump to the big, fantastic, best fight scene I've ever seen. Action sequence at the airport was so awesome.
Spider-Man's awesome.
I know. And everyone was great in the fight, all the different dynamics, and people have also said this. I'm just repeating what they said because I agree. All the characters' personalities are shown perfectly. Obviously, Ant-Man's introduction before the airport scene was fantastic. How he's just
Ant-Man.
he's like asleep in the back seat. And he's like, man, Captain America. And he's like
filling him up.
Yeah. And then he like looks behind him. I think it's not Falcon. It's
Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, one of them's behind him. He's like, hey, how's it going? He's like kind of recognizes them. Yeah. It's the Falcon. He's like, hey, sorry about what happened last time. He's like, just consider it a good audition.
Yeah.
But I thought that was hilarious. And Paul Rudd is just fantastic.
Yeah.
Not only as an actor, but as Ant-Man specifically, he's great.
Yeah, he's a funny man, so he definitely adds a lot of comical effect to the movie.
Yeah, which
that fight had a ton.
It did.
It was so great.
That's what was perfect. I think, especially at that point in the movie, it was great, and I think they brought he and Tom Holland in at the perfect time because the movie was very serious for basically the first half of the movie is very serious emotions and tensions, and all these issues are arising, and blah blah. People are dying, and then like the fun begins, which I think is cool. Obviously, the humor was great. I think what is amazing about the fight, like I've said, the action was unbelievable. But the fact that it was so fun and joyful, and like I said, my face hurt. I was smiling so hard the entire time. That is what I hope for in movies like this. For example, I'm not going to get too off topic. I know everyone's brought this up at least once in their reviews, and you can't help but compare the two, Batman v Superman and this movie. We've admitted we liked Batman v Superman, but after seeing this, and we are not fanboys by any means, my favorite superhero of all time, for those of you that kept up with us know, is Batman. I love Batman, love his villains, love the character, love the world, love everything about Batman. He's hands down my favorite. Easily in second is Spider-Man. But not fanboys by any means, but just from a movie-going standpoint, a fan of movies, I enjoyed Batman v Superman, but I freaking loved this movie. And the fight scene, comparing Batman and Superman's fight scene, I mean, technically Iron Man and Captain America had two fight scenes, but comparing like the main airport scene versus the main Batman v Superman fight,
I don't think it's even close.
Not at all. And the Batman v Superman fight is
not
fine.
That it was bad, yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't smile at all during that movie. I may have smiled a little bit when Wonder Woman makes her appearance, and that was pretty cool. Yeah. I'm like, oh, this is cool. But other than that, like, I had so much more fun with this movie, and just the airport scene, like I said, was so insanely entertaining.
Dude, Spider-Man kicked so much ass, dude. Like, he took on... who was it?
It was Bucky and Falcon.
Yeah, and then Captain America used his shield against him.
Uh-huh.
It was great.
It was awesome, and his introduction was obviously cool.
Swinging around in his webs.
Yeah, it was so cool. I love how the fight started with Spider-Man just kind of like fanboying out, talking to everyone.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you're Captain America, you're this, you're that, this is so cool, I'm a big fan. And
he's talking so much.
And then they're like, now Scott, and you can see Ant-Man on Iron Man or Captain America's shield, and he's like kicks Spider-Man. I was like, what a great way to start the fight. It was awesome, and I just love how the whole fight, Spider-Man's like, I gotta impress Mr. Stark, like, sorry, like, I'm just doing this to, like, I'm just trying out right now. Yeah. The whole time he's fighting him, she's like, you guys are so cool. Which I thought was amazing. That is so cool. I love how in this universe they introduced Spider-Man in a way where he's like, just this high school kid, just got a superpower 6 months ago, and Tony Stark's like, hey, come help me fight some more superheroes. He's like, okay.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but...
Yeah. But yeah, his action was so cool. Just... It's such a thing. I'm without a doubt seeing this at least 2 or 3 more times, at the very least.
Jeez.
I'm hoping to go tonight. Honestly, I'm going to try to talk Casey into it. Like, let's go see Captain America again. I don't even care if I'm up till 2 in the morning again. I just want to see it.
Did you see IMAX 3D?
No, I saw it in AMC Prime. I prefer Prime over IMAX 3D just because I like the sound better, which I know that sounds so stupid, but the sound is, I want it to be very loud. I want it to be so loud where it almost hurts my ears. I can't stand when the movie's too quiet. But next time I see it, I want to see it in 3D because I watched it in 2D the first time. But yeah, Spider-Man was just so entertaining. Like, I thought that the eye, like that's what I've only seen it once because there's like so much awesome stuff that happens that I can't process it all. But you know, when he's like jumping through the inside of the airport and you see his like eyes changing shape and stuff, that was amazing. Yeah. And his banter with Falcon and Bucky was great. You saw the web stuff, and then he webs up both of them on the floor, and he's like, or I think Falcon calls in his Redbird or whatever, and like hits Spider-Man. Yeah, I think he calls him Redbird. Okay. And Bucky's like, you couldn't have done that like 20 minutes ago. And he's like, I hate you. Which is cool because I love how they kind of have like, they're both fighting to be like Captain America's best friend in a way.
In the car, his seat was too far back.
Yeah. Can you move your seat? Although that scene was hilarious too, where Captain America kisses the girl. And I knew there was going to be a reaction shot, and they're just kind of give him like the nod of approval.
That was great.
That was awesome.
And they were in that tiny car, to be disguised. Yeah, when the car stands out itself.
Yeah, that was funny. But yeah, I mean, the fight, there's so much happens. I mean, the Spider-Man's incredible the entire time. I'm so glad that you get to see a ton of Spider-Man. My worry is that he'd be very limited. Ton of Spider-Man. Easily my second favorite character in the fight was obviously Ant-Man. He was awesome.
Ant-Man was entertaining.
Yeah, my favorite parts from Ant-Man were one, obviously when. I mean, he does a lot of funny stuff, but the part where he jumps off of Hawkeye's arrow and lands in Iron Man's suit, and he's running around. Iron Man's
like, what's happening?
Yeah, he's like, it's your conscience. We don't talk as often as we used to. That's amazing. So funny.
And then he has to run out. Yeah. It's blown out.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, the Giant Man part.
Giant Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm. Everyone was hoping for that, I know. When
the distraction.
Yeah. The speculation, everyone was like, I wonder if they're going to bring Giant Man into this movie. And cause some people were like thinking like, oh, maybe they'll save that for the Ant-Man sequel itself. But I'm glad they put it in this movie. And it was so funny, too. He's like, I've only tried this once in a lab, and I passed out. He's like, I hope that doesn't happen again. And I love when he becomes large. He's just like, he almost sounds like a giant. He's like, ha, 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 ha. So funny. Just stomping on stuff and just joking about it the whole time, and Spider-Man's crawling all over him.
Yeah, he's taking his legs out.
Yeah. And that was hilarious too, the Star Wars Easter eggs. Like, you guys seen that old movie Empire Strikes Back?
How young is this kid?
Yeah. With the the walking thingies. He's like, let's try that. It's so funny.
Oh man. And they can get away with that because Disney owns them.
That's amazing. I
suppose.
Yeah. But man, there's so much cool stuff that happened. I mean, all of it was just so entertaining. I mean, I'm sure we could spend the next half an hour going into every little detail of that fight, but we'll just say, instead of just describing the whole fight scene to you, I mean, obviously, if you're listening to the spoiler talk, I hope you've already seen the movie. You know what happens. We're just kind of like talking about our favorite parts that stood out to us. Yeah. And obviously, War Machine gets shot down at the end of that scene. You're like, oh, that sucks. And then things get serious again.
Perhaps Vision is more human than he thought he was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he just totally goofs and didn't mean to obviously practically kill him, which sucks. But I like how there's like Scarlet Witch and Vision, how they're like overly powerful and can easily take on any of these people with hardly any effort. But they're like, it's kind of weird because in a way you kind of have to just accept the fact that it's a movie, and logically speaking, if they wanted to, they could just end the fight in 2 seconds. Yeah. But I like how Scarlet Witch, not only is she not in complete control of her powers, but she's really conflicted about how much power she has, and obviously she feels responsible for killing those people in the opening fight. Yeah. So I think that's cool in that sense, how she's still trying to like come into her own and accept the fact that she's very powerful and just trying to learn her powers and everything. And Vision's kind of the same way. He's like super powerful and just trying to find his place in the world. And I think that's why you can kind of see there's kind of a connection there between them, especially that cooking scene. Yeah. Is that they're very similar in a lot of ways, so they're just trying to kind of figure out their place in the world with all this power.
So is Scarlet Witch an X-Men, like Quicksilver was?
She's not in the X-Men movies right now.
But is she part of that universe?
Not the.
I'm just trying to figure out
the movie universe, or
from.
like in the comics.
Just the comics.
Yeah. Okay, in the comics, the as far as if I remember correctly, the original story between Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch was they were the children of Magneto. Okay. And they joked about that in Days of Future Past X-Men when Magneto and Quicksilver are in the elevator. And he's like, what's your name? He's like, I can't remember exactly what they say, but Quicksilver's like, what's your name again? He's like, Eric. And he's like, my mom knew an Eric once. And that was supposed to be like the joke. It's like, oh, I'm your son. Mm-hmm. Which that may have just been like a fun Easter egg, because I don't know if they've confirmed or not in the X-Men cinematic universe if Quicksilver is indeed Magneto's son in the movie. In the comics, he is. I don't know if they've addressed that fully.
Like it's unnecessary at this point, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
I wish X-Men was a part of this universe, but it's not, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, there's been rumors floating around that Fox may sign a deal with Marvel as well, kind of how Sony did, and kind of bring in Wolverine or something.
Honestly, I just want Wolverine. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be so.
I don't really
cool.
care about the rest of them. I've never been a huge X-Men fan, so
yeah, X-Men.
But I do love the Wolverine movies.
Yeah,
they're always entertaining.
Yeah, X-Men. I like it. It's not. I don't like it nearly as much as the other Marvel stuff, but it's cool.
Yeah, like when we were watching that trailer before this movie for X-Men, I was just like, "This is okay, I guess." I'm not really into this. I don't know. It's just X-Men.
I'm like,
there's so many of these X-Men movies that have been redone over and over again. I just feel like
the cast has changed a lot too.
It's weird.
I'm like moderately excited for the new X-Men. I'm gonna definitely go see it, but I was through the roof excited about Captain America: Civil War. I'm just kind of like, okay, I'll go see X-Men.
Right.
Not that I hate it, but like I said, it just doesn't excite me as much.
Yeah.
But obviously, I said there's rumors floating around that may or may not be a thing with Wolverine in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I'd rather the TV Marvel heroes be in the next Avengers.
I would love that too.
I want Daredevil.
Obviously, fans are hoping for that. We'll see. I think there was actually an interview that I have not listened to. I've just seen the headline that says Infinity War directors address possibly bringing in Marvel TV heroes. And they didn't say like yes or no. I haven't heard it, so I don't know what they said.
Yeah.
They might. I'm assuming that they say something like, "Oh, it's kind of in talks. We don't know." Like that's probably what, I don't know. Who knows?
I see why it would be weird though. Like, because if you take Daredevil out of his show, then like what happens after the Avengers are done and it's another season of Daredevil? Like, how does that world change? Like knowing that all these things have happened. So.
But obviously we know that in the Daredevil show that's included in the universe. That are aware of the Avengers, and they're aware of like the Battle of New York and blah blah blah.
Yeah. And
it's always like little Easter egg stuff. But it would be interesting to see if he actually interacted with all these heroes and then went back to his show. How would
Tony Stark maybe make an appearance in Daredevil?
That'd be pretty crazy.
That would be weird.
I bet that would be like half the season's budget, just getting him in like 5 minutes of an episode. Like, Mr. Downey Jr., please be in 5 minutes of our show.
We'll give you $1 billion.
But yeah, Spider-Man, like we said, super entertaining. I think Tom Holland did an excellent job. I'm really excited to see a solo movie. And the fact that Iron Man's going to be in it is really cool.
Yeah.
And I love how at the ending credits, the final credit scene, I was hoping and praying, I was like, please be something with Spider-Man, please. And it was, thankfully. And obviously they know that everyone was super pumped about Spider-Man, and I didn't realize this was a thing literally until I saw this movie, that he has like his spider logo, like his light, like his spider light. I think I'd seen that once before in like a cartoon or something at one point, but I think that's cool how they're bringing it into the movie. It's kind of like his symbol, and I love how it has like the classic cartoony Spider-Man look, which is awesome. And I love how she's like, Spider-Man will return. I'm like, I've been waiting so long to see that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is awesome.
One last thing I want to talk about is the FedEx appearance.
FedEx appearance.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, Stan Lee. Yeah,
that was great.
That was great.
What did they call him again?
Stank.
Yeah, Stank.
Yeah. That was awesome.
I was wondering when they were gonna put him in there. So that was good.
Yeah, it was. But it's gonna be a sad day when that guy dies.
Oh, I know.
But
hopefully this universe will be filled out before that happens.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
He's created a legacy.
Yeah, sure. He has. Yeah, it's amazing. I can't imagine way back in the day when Marvel was started and Stan Lee kind of came on board and everything. It's like they probably would have never imagined it'd get to this point. I mean, obviously, there's like the comics are world-renowned, famous, and successful. Yeah. There's been a lot of great games, TV shows, and the movies to this point have just been so impressive and entertaining. And they've all tied together leading up to the point they're at now. It was awesome. And
the movies have been so successful that it's a genre now, is superhero movies.
Right, yeah, they're just so insanely popular. And a lot of people are saying like, oh, they're going to burn out, which I can understand why people say that, but after seeing this movie, like if I saw Batman v Superman and then for like a couple years that's all we had, I'd be like, yeah, this is kind of dumb. But after seeing Civil War, it was so impressive, not only just on a superhero point, but the action, the storytelling was just so on par. Not on par, but it was just so up to par with like just a great movie experience that I was like, I still believe in these superhero movies. I still want to see more. I want to see the story of all these characters tied together all the way leading up to Infinity War. Lord knows what they're going to do after that. But if we get all the way to Infinity War, and even if they kill off half the characters at that point, I don't know what they're going to do. But to have all those movies, just like the massive series of movies to watch after that, it's exciting, and they've done a great job. And I don't
know what they do after that.
I don't know.
Maybe they'll start branching off and doing other superheroes like they're kind of doing now.
Yeah, I know they talked about
Doctor
Inhumans,
Strange.
but Inhumans was taken off the list, apparently, just because I know they added another Ant-Man movie to the list. Obviously, they got Spider-Man. They can do Spider-Man Homecoming. But, yeah, maybe
they'll do more TV shows. I don't know.
Possibly.
Because it would be kind of weird if they kept... If they did something after Infinity War, because I feel like that's a ending right there.
It sounds like
that's the ultimate battle,
right,
in that universe. So.
Yeah, I was just my closing thoughts really were. I know we kind of jumped all over the place, but I've only seen it once. I'm going to see it again, but at least a couple more times, like I said. But I was just thoroughly entertained. I really touched on the parts that stood out to me most, that stood out to you most.
Yeah.
I loved it. Easily, I will say it is my favorite Marvel movie so far. I love the other ones. I think second would be Winter Soldier. I really like that movie. Third,
Winter Soldier more than Avengers?
I think only. Let me say I like the story a lot in Winter Soldier.
Okay.
Action-wise, Avengers for sure. But I think as far as like the stories of these movies go, easily this one and action included, I love this movie. And then Winter Soldier, then Avengers, and then kind of goes down from there.
Yeah.
But those are my top three for sure. I love this movie. I'm so excited to see it again. And the Russo brothers are phenomenal directors, and I have high hopes for Infinity War.
I'm very happy that they are doing Infinity War Part 1 and 2. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, but Jacob, you have any closing remarks? Anything else you wanted to touch on?
Basically, just agreeing with everything you said. This is probably my favorite Marvel movie as well. I also love Avengers, like I've said. Yeah, I definitely want to go see it again.
Totally.
It's such a good movie. I feel like I need to see it again just to take in more than what I've missed,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so many cool things that happened. My brain was melting, but not in a way where I couldn't follow it. I was just like so blown away by it. I'm like, this is so cool, but it's like you're just kind of taking it all in at first. But seeing it a second and third time, I think will really nail it down for me. But yeah, we loved it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this movie or if you dislike this movie, however you may feel, please let us know your thoughts in the comments. We love talking to you. If you've stuck with us for a while, you know that we always respond to your comments. I get super pumped about hearing from you guys. Sorry, Jacob, I just grazed your shoulder. Feels very nice, by the way. But we love hearing your thoughts. We love having discussions. Anything you thought about this movie, the previous movies, the movies coming, please let us know. If you have a favorite part, let us know. We will respond. If you like this video, please give it a like. Subscribe for more. Join us every single week on the It's Obvious podcast. And we play video games from time to time. Coming soon.
Video games.
Coming this week, Uncharted 4. Stay tuned. My name's Garrett Drake. This is Jacob Alka. We're It's Obvious Gaming. We'll catch you again very soon.